你好，我是 Jasmin，我是韩国人，今年我22岁，我的专业是西班牙文，去 UT Arlington。我喜欢学文，我家有5口人，爸爸妈妈、哥哥、妹妹和我。我喜欢黄色的。我的爱好是唱歌，看电影，吃新饭。我开吃新饭馆跟我的朋友。So that was just a quick introduction of me in Chinese. Hopefully I said it well to be understood. I just wanted to talk about Chinese class and my experiences in Chinese class with you guys, also with the online tutoring program. I decided to take Chinese once I transferred to UT Arlington. As I said earlier, my major is in Spanish, and so I wanted to learn a different language that would be helpful in the future. And so I decided to take Chinese because there's a lot of people, sorry if there's background noise, there's a lot of people who speak Chinese, and Chinese, the country is growing, so I wanted to learn a language where I'll be able to communicate with a lot of people. I studied 1 year, and this is my 3rd semester. I'm in the second level class now. It's been really challenging, but it's been really fun. It's been a whole new experience, but every time I achieve reading a sentence, achieve writing down a sentence, I feel very accomplished. So it's been really fun. When I study Chinese, I usually write the characters many times. I first write it on paper. I write 2 lines. It's about 15 to 20 characters normally, and if I still have hard times, then I make a flashcard out of it. If I learned a new vocabulary, it probably takes me a good 2 hours to fully master it, but that's still the minimum. And if I have to read the dialogue, find translations, study for a test, study for a quiz, it takes me more than 3 hours to study for it. The best way to study Chinese is just to keep writing down the characters, get used to how it looks, get used to how it sounds, because there's so many Chinese characters that look and sound the same. So that's just one of the strategies that I have. And another strategy is the dialogue helps a lot because it shows me how to use my words, but it also helps if I make my own sentences. Maybe change up some vocabulary words with different words that I learned in the past, or I would use those vocabulary words when talking to a Chinese friend. So I think the best way is not just reading and writing right out of the book, but it's just spending time making your own sentences just so you fully understand how to use those words. Since my major is Spanish, I do focus a lot on my Spanish classes because it's my upper interpreting levels. And I also tutor a middle schooler. I help my parents with their store. I go to church, and I have a lot of things outside of school, obviously. But I do my best to manage my time studying, doing my own schedule, having a social life. And sometimes it gets really hard because for language, if you don't constantly practice, if you don't put in time, you automatically forget everything. And that's with any language. And so I feel like that's been really hard for me the past year or two as I was studying languages and studying Chinese. But that's why I always keep a planner with me. I make sure I know when things are due. I know what I have to study for. But yeah, learning how to balance your time with language is really hard, especially if you have a life outside of school. I actually only did 1 semester of online tutoring, and I actually couldn't go all the time we had it, but it was really helpful because my tutor, first of all, she was a great teacher. she gave us examples, but then she would constantly tell us to repeat after her. And then once we repeated after her, there would be a next slide where there would be blanks, and we would have to fill in the blanks. And then there would be more blanks. And it was just, and then in the end, she threw out just random questions on that topic. And we would have to remember what we learned and get used to what needs to be said. It was really helpful because it was something outside of the textbook that I could learn conversationally. And it was kind of awkward at first because it was like online through a webcam, and instead of me, there's like 3 or 4 more people, and sometimes the internet connection wasn't that great, it was lagging. So I think that's kind of the negativity of the online tutoring program. But in the end, I feel like it was really helpful other than just sitting in a classroom. Some effective ways and activities the tutor helped me learn, what I said earlier, was just constantly repeating the material and then making blanks, and then in the end throwing those random questions at us. It keeps training us because if we constantly say it, then we get used to it with our tongue. So I feel like that was a really great way to help us. I don't think my tutor did this with us, but I feel like maybe actually, I want to say this real quick. She sent us the PowerPoint and everything that we learned. And that was really helpful because then I could have it for my own study guide and I could have it for my own reference. So that was really nice. One thing I want to add that would be good would be like maybe a small quiz right after the session or a small quiz right before the next session, just so she can check if we remember or if we studied. It might be a little stressful on us, but I think that'll be a great way to remember what we learned. Not so effective activities. I don't think there was any activities that I felt were not so effective because everything that my tutor taught me they were really fun and they were really useful. I feel like just the improvements would be if there is another app that we can use with better connection maybe, because that app is sometimes kicked out people and it just froze in the middle. I don't know if it's because we're so far from each other or because we use different types of internet, but that was it got a little annoying, to be honest, because we're in the middle of learning and all of a sudden it just stops. We're in the middle of learning and then all of a sudden someone gets kicked out. So we have to pause and resume again. So that kind of broke the tension a little bit. Maybe some other activities would be not just teaching us what they want to teach us, but also help us with what we are learning at the same time. Maybe half the time do what they want to teach and half the time do what we are learning in school. I think that'll be a good improvement. That's honestly all I can think of right now. But the online tutoring program is great. The first semester of Chinese, I actually did an on-campus tutoring, and that was really awesome too. I think they both have really strong strengths, not much negativity. I feel like the only negativity there is just what we learn and how we learn. But that's really depending on the tutor. But most of the tutors that I have met, they were all passionate, they were all generous, they were all knowledgeable. So I just feel like with the online tutoring program, if the connection would work better. And also the time is kind of hard because we live on different ends of the earth. For us, 7 and 8 p.m., there's not many people who are always free at that time. I think that was kind of maybe a minus, but then if we think about it, that's an early time for the people in China and in Taiwan. So the time issue was a little bit hard to keep. But other than that, the tutoring program was very helpful. We get to learn more about Chinese culture And most importantly, there's more practice, so it's obviously going to help us a lot. Thank you.